My name is David Tal, and this is the Balagan Connection. As most of you know, I've been defending Israel from the back of a tank for most of my adult life. I'm a major in the IDF. I used to command a tank company, and I've seen combat and I've seen action in all the different areas where Israel actually fought. But today, the battlefield is completely different. This is no longer a battlefield of tanks, of terrain, of hills, and of ranges of artillery. It's not even a battlefield of drones and rockets. It's much, much more than that. It is a battlefield of headlines, sound bites, social media posts, and I'm going to go even a little bit further. This is a battlefield of the spiritual war that is taking place in the Middle East today. You've seen the headlines. You've heard that Israel bombs hospitals. You've heard that Israel commits genocide. You've heard that Israel is starving people in Gaza. But here's the question. I know that's not true. And if you know anything about Israel, you know that's probably not true. But how do these lies get accepted so easily, so blatantly as truth? How does the aggressor, who is basically the Hamas, who started this off with the most terrible terrorist attack ever. Okay, how does the aggressor become the victim and the victim become the aggressor? As an officer, I have to say, anybody who knows anything about military, officers love acronyms. Officers love things that become simple by using a series of letters. And in this war of information or disinformation, there's an acronym that I want to use that starts to explain a lot of what's going on. It's called DARVO, DARVO, which basically means this: when something happens, deny, attack, reverse the victim and the offender, and you've actually succeeded in winning a battle where you actually lost before. This tactic isn't new. It's as old as the serpent from Genesis. It's as old as whispering lies into the ears of people. We've heard it all over the place, twisting the truth, striking the venom. And today, Hamas has perfected, has weaponized this terrible, terrible tactic. It's weaponizing DARVO on a global scale using social media and social networks. And this is what I want to talk about today. So, what is DARVO? DARVO stands for three main moves. It means deny, attack, and reverse. Okay. It means, first of all, say, no, it wasn't me. Psychologists use the term to describe abusers, to describe people who actually use this as a tactic, to describe somebody who feels weak, who needs to turn the tail into something completely different. It's the serpent method, by the way. Snakes use this method. They hide, they whisper lies, they strike, and then they slither away into the grass, blaming somebody else. In the field, we rely on acronyms. We rely on acronyms and drills to make things simple. And DARVO is the enemy's tactic. We know that. We've dealt with that. And if you are in any way connected to modern civilization, Western civilization, or to biblical truth, you know what DARVO means. And once you know it, you will be able to spot it in real time. Look at, there's a lot of media parallels to what we're talking about. The Hamas linked accounts deny what happened. They flip the roles, and then the serpent whispers through the hashtags and the headlines. And the people who want to believe, who people who are already predestined to accept this, have already actually accepted the whole narrative. Darvo in Gaza today is a whole new level. It's on a whole new dynamic. On the 7th of October, those terrorists crossed over the border. Not only the terrorists, but also a lot of people who were not civilians of Gaza, regular civilians of Gaza, who were not actually part of the terrorist organizations, crossed over the border and did terrible things. 1,200 Israelis were massacred in the worst possible way. Words that I'm not going to use here on YouTube because it'll demonetize me completely. Running through the streets, grabbing women and doing terrible things, grabbing children and doing terrible things, and filming it while they do it. They did this. We know that they did this. We have videos of them doing this. They said that they did this, but in the classical DARVO technique, the first thing they do is deny. Not even a week, a couple days after, we hear them saying they did not attack civilians or they did not do those terrible things to women. And there are people who still deny it today, even though the videos are there, even though the evidence are there. They first thing as a tactic, whatever you do, deny what you have done. Those who deny and those who turn it into something else. The protesters accuse Israel of mass whatever. And what happens is the Hamas has reversed the roles. It's wrapped himself in a victimhood mask, saying, oh, first of all, we did not do that. And now this is being done to us. Deny what they do, go on the attack, and then reverse the roles. I mean, the hospitals, Shifa, is a hospital in Gaza. Nasser, El Quds, Hamas hides his fighters inside the hospitals. They hide inside the hospitals. They hide weapons inside the hospitals, and they hide command centers inside the hospitals. And what do? Deny it. And when Israel attacks the hospital, first deny that you're using the hospital, and then switch roles. We are the victims. We are the ones that are being attacked. There's no fighters here. Israel bombs the hospitals, and Hamas, who is the predator. And by the way, when I say predator, it's not only the predator of Israel, it's the predator of their own people. I mean, videos have come out this week of them beating up on their own people in Gaza. They are the serpent, they are the problem, but they completely deny any wrongdoing. They completely deny that any of the victims are soldiers. It coils around the hospital, hissing innocent, while literally the fangs drip with blood. The serpent seminarium is so strong in my mind. In combat, our rhythm, our way to deal with this tactic is contact, report, and action. The Hamas rhythm is deny, attack, and reverse. It's their drill, it's their propaganda war. And when something happens, the first thing they will turn them. The slaughter of Khan Yunis, Yihya Sinwar, okay, when he was finally found and cornered and killed, they denied that he had done any wrongdealing, and he becomes the great savior. They reverse. That's how they do it. There have been lots of different parallels to this. And by the way, a quick one, they didn't learn this out of the blue. The Soviet Union, the KGB, and through them, Iran has actually been amazing in using this tactic again and again. It is a tactic that comes from a society where deceit and lying is built into the society. The Quran calls Muhammad the greatest of all deceivers. It's not by chance that we call Satan the king of deceivers. Another one, Israel is starving Gaza. No, Israel is not starving Gaza. Israel has pushed more than 2 tons of food into Gaza since the beginning. Excuse me. Israel has pushed more than 2 million tons of food into Gaza since the beginning of this war. Now, there's less than 2 million people in Gaza, which means every person in Gaza has gotten a ton of food. That is enough to sustain the population almost indefinitely. But Israel is blamed. The serpent strikes back, and Israel is being blamed for a terrible, terrible thing. So much that we've got this flotilla of crazy people, by the way. It's not by chance. It's the same crazy people on the boats headed to Gaza. the same crazy people in the demonstrations in the universities, the same crazy people in the demonstrations for abortion, and the same crazy people in the demonstrations for trans rights. It is the same crazy people that are being used by the serpent. They are the poison that the serpent uses. It's not new. This tactic is completely not new. The history talks about this kind of situation and again and again. Give you another example. I think we've talked about it here. In 1144, in Norwich, there was a blood libel that accused the Jews of using the blood of a Christian child in order to make matzahs for Passover. And no matter what we did, no matter how we did, we couldn't convince anybody that that wasn't the truth. Nazi Germany, and a lot of people don't remember this, but Nazi Germany, Hitler blamed the Jews for what happened to Germany in World War One. That was the whole idea. So, first of all, deny and go on the attack. Deny that there is any German responsibility for what happened and go on the attack, blame the Jews, and use that to orchestrate the terrible extermination of not only 6 million Jews, altogether about 11 million people. The Soviet Union accused the Zionists of imperialism, and reality, they went and enslaved half of Europe. In each case, this is DARVO. This is the serpent. This is switch. This is deny and attack, and then reverse the roles. This is what is going on. Officers study past battles in order to prepare for the next battle. History is intelligence. Again and again, we find the biblical relative relevance on this. I can't help but remember the 12 spies, okay, that did not really understand the true stories. But go to modern times on campus, okay. The students are chanting from the river to the sea. They call to erase all Jews. They call to erase the state of Israel, but they are denying. They have turned Israel into the oppressor, to the accused one, when they were actually calling for the eradication of Israel. There's a reason why this works. And the main reason is that it works on a different level than the actual rational, reasonable, logical way to deal with things. It works first and foremost on the emotion level. The pictures from the rubble in Gaza stirs the hearts of the people, stirs the emotion, and the serpent knows where to touch. The serpent has known where to touch ever since the beginning, and the serpent knows. It drips the poison exactly where there's a ready acceptance for the poison that he is actually dripping in. I mean, look at what happened with Eve in the Garden of Eden. And the world has a short memory. The world has forgotten what happened on the 7th of October. The world has forgotten the terrible atrocities that took place. And the serpent waits. And if the world has forgetting, we can convince who is the attacker and who's the victim and switch it over. Um, this works because the media echoes the headlines. Accusations go faster than the refutals. Corrections come too late. If you want to be truthful, you have to check. If you need to check, then you've already lost a media war. In battle, first reports shape the fight. The first report that comes in, I get a report from my lieutenant. He tells me 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've already shaped my opinion about what's going on. Later on, based on that first off opinion, in many cases, we make a lot of different mistakes. Look at what happened. The hospital blast. I don't know if you remember a little while in the beginning of war, there was this headline that came out that Israel attacked a hospital, 500 dead, and as a result of that, by the way, it was, I think President Biden was on his way to the Middle East in order to solve the problem, and as a result of that attack Okay, he decided to cancel his Middle East trip. Jordan and Egypt was going to meet with the American president and find a solution to the Balagan, but that attack actually turned that all off. And in reality, we realized later on that it was a failed, not a Hamas rocket, it was an Islamic Jihad rocket, but the venom had actually spread. The protest had already ignited. The lies were already there. This is a spiritual war, though. And I need people to understand mostly that this is a tactic that the chief of deceiver has actually been using again and again. He's been using this for ages. In Revelation, it actually says that he is the accuser of the brethren. In Isaiah, okay, woe to those who call evil good and good evil. John 8:44 says Satan is a liar and the father of of liars. We in Judaism call him the king of deceivers, the ancient serpent, and DARVO is his playbook. This is his tactic. He's been using it down through the ages. DARVO is the serpent, and now he's using Gaza as his poison. He hits, he strikes, and then yells out, I'm the victim. I'm the poor guy. We've seen it again and again. Every war has two levels. There's a psychological and there's a physical level to every war, but there's also a spiritual level. And you need to understand that no commander can ignore this spiritual level. Iran calls itself the protector of the oppressed. In reality, it funds Hamas. It funds Hezbollah. It funds the Houthis. It funds everything that is against Western civilization. And the people who buy into this again and again are actually amplifying this poison and spreading it as much as possible. So, how do we resist this terrible poison? How do we resist DARVO? How do we turn this into a different kind of momentum? First thing to do is ask who started the war? Where did this come from? And no matter how you get to it, you'll find out that Israel has never been the aggressor. We are being blamed, but we had never been aggressor. I can't help another little kind of example. Um, Iran set up the Hezbollah in Lebanon to attack Israel. Israel cannot allow our people to be blown up with rockets that come from Lebanon. So we fought back, but at some point we went on the offensive. We conquered the southern part of Lebanon in order to protect our people. We did not attack, but there we go. The first thing that you hear is the world is denying that the Hezbollah attacked, is denying that they did anything. It is only looking at what Israel is done has flipped the victim and the oppressor, the aggressor. And here again, we have another classical instance of DARVO. Spot where it started off. If Hamas accuses Israel of genocide, ask who has targeted civilians. The serpent accuses others of its own sin. That's what we need to remember. Don't let the aggressor wear the mask of the victim. Pull the mask off the serpent. In the field, we conquer ambush with clarity and aggression. Sometimes you find yourself in an ambush, you have no choice but just push yourself through. In the information war, our counter ambush, the way we fight these deceptions is with truth. Calls for a ceasefire now. Okay, here's another one that just now came across my desk. Yesterday, the Hamas actually came out and said, we are willing to stop the war. We're willing to give back all the hostages. Like we are the victims, we're not the aggressor. The thing is, who started this war? The Hamas wants to go back to the 6th of October last year, but they started their war. They were the aggressors. Now we are being called the aggressors. Now they're standing by, they're saying we're the victims. We are being starved. You could have finished this war on day one. You could have not started this war, or you could finish this war today. All you need to do is hand back the hostages. The aggression against Israel is holding hostages in these tunnels. And again, Hamas has managed to use this tactic And we as Christians have to stand with the truth. We have to stand with Israel's survival, because Israel's survival is not a political issue. It is not a geopolitical issue. It is even not a moral issue. It is a biblical prophecy issue. Israel's survival is a biblical story, and Christians must stand for the truth no matter what. And so, to end all of this, what I want to talk to you, or the Hebrew term that we're going to use today, or a special, what's much more than the Hebrew term. The Hebrew term that we want to talk to you today about is chet, Chet, or chet, tet, aleph. It means literally to miss. Uh, Picture an archer trying to draw a bow, and the arrow flies, but it veers off and misses the target. That is a chet. That's what chet actually means. Sin is not just doing the wrong thing, it is failing to hit the target, failing to hit the truth, failing to hit the pass on purpose. That is what sin actually means. There are other words in Hebrew for sin. There's avon, which means iniquity, twisting what is right. There is pesha, which means a rebellion or criminality, a break from the covenant. But chet is the root of what we're talking about. It tells us that sin is losing aim at the truth, and that has been happening big time. That is what DARVO actually is. It denies attacks and reverses. It makes the world miss the mark. It makes the people who are the aggressors into the victims. And it allows the aggressor not to take responsibility for what he does or what his actions bring, and turn him into something that needs to be taken care of. And when Hamas massacres people and then says we are the victims, that more than anything is a hit. It's not just propaganda, it's not just a media wave, it is actually sin missing the actual truth. And when the world repeats these sins, these offset, these different directions in protests and campus chants, that too is another kind of chet. The arrow has flown off course and gone in a different direction. That's why Darvo is not only political, it is first and foremost spiritual. It is a sin in motion. It is the serpent using this poison to take people and move them off the path. There's only one answer to chet, and that is God's worth. That is his covenant. That is his truth. That is his son. There's only one way to come to God the Father. Jesus said about himself, I am the way, the path, I am the truth, and I am life. There's only that way. And if for some reason you haven't set yourself on that path, or you haven't figured out what the truth is, or you're afraid that you're not on the way to redemption, leave a comment down here. Me, Christy, somebody will read the comment and reach out to you and help you find the path, the truth, and not be taken over by this tactic of the army that we call chet, or in modern times we call darvo. So that was a couple of minutes about what is going on in Israel. I wanted to share that with you. I don't know if you see the backdrop is a little bit. We're not in California right now. We're in Georgia for a conference. Met some amazing people out here. Done some amazing work. Spoke on the radio channel today, and we'll be meeting a lot of people this evening. And so that's a little bit of what's going on. The countdown has begun. I'm going back to Israel in a couple of weeks, and it looks like, I'm not sure, it looks like I might have found a way to find to get myself into uniform. So pray for me that that'll work. Pray for me and Christy on the road. Pray for Israel. And if you want to support what's going on, if you want to be a part of it, go to GihonSprings.com. We're doing some amazing work, including with widows and reservists in what's going on. And just be a part of this amazing story. In the meantime, things are happening. The ceasefire is about to come around. So a lot of prayer is needed right now. This is David Tal. This is a Balagan Connection. Hope to see you soon.